for a fox, let's talk business. And let's turn it up a notch. It's your time to shine with for a fox. It's all coming together. Just keep your eyes on God and tune in. And let's talk with for a fox. Hey, for a fox. For a fox.
Good evening. This is the Jafora Fox Show. I am your host, Dr. Jafora Fox, IO psychologist, professor, speaker, and author. I am glad you are here. I'm glad you're here. So go ahead and say hello in the comments, share this broadcast, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Tonight, we're talking about something most people experience, but don't always address directly. So if you're just now joining, thank you so much to my Facebook live audience, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Hello, and thank you so much. Thank you. Good evening to you. Good evening. Thank you all so much for joining. And say hello, and let me know that you're here. And also subscribe to the Jafora Fox Show YouTube channel. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining in. When you know what to do, but you're still not doing it, you already know what needs to be done. You've thought about it, you've identified it, you may have said it out loud, you may have gone back and forth with it more than once. You may have even reached a point where you told yourself, this is what I'm going to do, and still you haven't moved. If this already applies to you, just put "that's me" in the comments. Good evening. Hello, Elder Justine. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, Rome, thank you so much for joining. Thank you. And good evening to Adam Wayne from YouTube and Step Into the Valley from YouTube. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And so I want you to put "that's me" in the comments. Because at this point, the issue is not information. It's not that you need more time to think about it. It's not that you haven't considered your options. You've already done that. The issue is a gap between what you know and what you're doing. And that gap is where people lose time. There's a point where thinking becomes a substitute for action. You revisit it, you replay it, you look at it from different angles. You may even talk to other people about it. And when you step back and look at your behavior, nothing has changed. You're still in the same place. Good evening, Rochelle Hemingway. Thank you so much for tuning in. And over time, that creates the illusion of progress. Mentally, you're engaged, but behaviorally, you're not moving. And your life does not respond to what you're thinking about. It responds to what you're consistently doing. And I want you to think about it. You don't have to type it out, but you already know what it is. When you already know what needs to be done and you're not doing it, something is getting in the way. And most of the time, that's not obvious at first. You hear the saying that you can't see the forest from the trees, because when you are in proximity to situations, It's hard to really be able to see what it is that you're needing to see, but it's right there. And it doesn't always look like fear. It doesn't always look like avoidance. Sometimes it looks like waiting. Sometimes it looks like being almost ready. Sometimes it looks like telling yourself, I just need to get a few things in place first. Sometimes it looks like starting and then stopping, because here's the reality: action changes things. And so tonight's topic, I'm talking about when you know what to do, but still don't do it. Hello, Deacon. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mac KOH. Good evening to you, Prophetess. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Matt Dally, thank you so much for tuning in. It changes your routine. It changes what you're used to. It changes how people interact with you. It changes what you accept and what you don't. It may require you to show up differently than you have been. It may require consistency in areas where you've been inconsistent. And as we talked about on last week, I did about consistency. Consistency is key. Knowing something needs to change is not the same as being prepared to carry it out consistently. And that's where the gap is. And so I want to ask you this: have you been sitting on the same decision for weeks, for months, or longer? If that's you, just put "still sitting" in the comments. If you've been sitting on something for weeks, for months, for years, or longer, put "still sitting" in the comments, because that's where time gets lost. Not because you don't know, but because you're not moving on what you know. Now, stay with me here, stay with me, because this is where it becomes clear. At this level, the gap is behavioral. It's not about knowledge. It's not about awareness. It's about whether your actions align with what you already know. And this is where frustration starts to build, because in your mind, you've already moved forward. You've already accepted it. You've already told yourself what needs to happen, but your behavior hasn't followed that. And so your life reflects your behavior, not your intention. And you want to make sure that you find out what is it that is keeping you from moving forward, because fear is false evidence appearing real, and you have power over fear. You can move past fear. If you're afraid, sometimes we have to just do it afraid. Sometimes you don't have all of the information that you need to move forward. But you have to move forward. And so you want to move from the place of still sitting. And thank you so much, Peter, for joining in and still sitting, because you want to be honest with yourself. Thank you, Elder Justine, for still sitting. And Tone said, great insight. What's the biggest reason people hesitate after deciding? Thank you for breaking this down. Thank you, Lori Todd. And that's an important distinction, because many people measure themselves by what they meant to do, but outcomes don't respond to intention. They respond to repeated behavior. And so you can intend to change. You can want something different. You can say you're ready, But if your behavior does not support that, nothing will change. And it's not going to drop out the sky. You have to do the work. You have to move forward. And you want to find out, what is that that's keeping you from moving forward? Now, this is where you have to ask yourself a different question. Not what should I do, because you already answered that. The question is, what is preventing me from doing what I already decided? That's what you need to ask yourself, that question. That question requires a different level of honesty, because now you're not focused on the decision, you're focused on your behavior. What would actually have to change in your behavior for that decision to hold? So I want to pose that question to you. What would actually have to change in your behavior for that decision to hold? Not temporarily, not when you feel like it, but consistently. Because this is where most people stop. They don't want to look at what the change actually requires. They want the outcome. And I can give you just a real life example. I'm so excited to be a professor. I've always wanted to be in that space. It's a lot of work. When you're first doing something, you're having to learn, all these systems that I'm definitely excited about, making a difference in the lives of the students. But it's also a lot of work. That means I have to change some things. I have to tighten down on some things. I have to tighten down even more on my time management. I have to make sure that I don't allow any distractions to come into my space. I have to make sure that I'm not offended by nothing or no one. I don't want to waste time or energy on things that are not productive for me, because I need all of that to continue to carry out my assignment that God has called for me. And it's nothing like doing what you love to do. And so if you're anywhere in a space where you're doing what you love to do, beginning to discover what it is that God has called for you to do, sometimes you don't have all of the things or the information that you need. You just have to go forth, and you have to trust, if you're a believer and believe God, that you will, and that God will help you. God always tells me, show up, do your best, and watch me do the rest. You have to show up. You have to give God something to work with. But if you're not fully stepping into what it is that you're needing to do, it's not going to change. It's going to stay the same. And time goes by so fast. And I want to say that being offended, that part, I'm so thankful for Prophetess Cherise for sharing that with me, because that was so helpful. And I would say this, that's why it's important as well to have, iron sharpens iron, that you are in a community and around people who can help you, who can speak into you, who can pray with you, who can share things that may be going on in their life, and they can share them with you, and that will help you. It's not that I didn't already know that, but sometimes a reminder is always good. Always good. Yes, Dr. Cassandra, yes, teaching is priceless. It really is. And I'm excited about that. I had the opportunity today to go and a career day with some juniors and senior high school students. And it was so much fun, and they were so engaged and so interactive, and taking in, sponging in everything that I was saying. And representation matters. Our young people need to see that they can do and accomplish things. So now I want to go a step further. As I talked about, consistency is another part of this. You may start, you may move on to it for a short while and then stop. You may be able to follow through briefly and then go back to what's familiar. You may adjust, yes, adjust, but not sustain it long enough for anything to change. And when that happens, it reinforces the same outcome, not because you don't know, but the behavior is not consistent. So now you're in a cycle. You know what to do. You don't do it. You revisit it. You think about it again. You tell yourself you're going to move, and then you stay in the same place. And the longer that cycle continues, the more normal it starts to feel. And at some point, it stops feeling like something is off. And it just starts feeling like how things are. And that's where people get stuck, because the behavior is now familiar. And this is where the conversation shifts, because at this point, it's no longer about figuring it out. You've already done that. It's about addressing what is interrupting your ability to act on what you already know. If you recognize yourself in this, just put ready in the comments, because it's time. It's go time. This is what I examine in my work, not just the decision, not just what you know, but what is getting in the way of execution. Because that's where things break down. If you're in that space, that's exactly what I address in a decision diagnostic session. The link is in the comments. You can visit my website, which is www.jafurafox.com, because it's time to move forward. It's time to find out what that is keeping you from moving forward, keeping you from doing what you need to do. And so you want to invest in yourself and connect. And you can schedule your decision diagnostic session on my website. And click the link here. In the comments. And click that link there, because you want to be moving forward. At this point, don't go back to thinking about it again. Move on it. And now as we close, I want you to think about this too as well. You already know what needs to be done. And if you're not doing it, that's not neutral. It's producing something. It's producing the same outcomes, the same situation, the same patterns. So the question going into the next episode is this: what has it cost you not to act on what you already know? And that's what we're addressing next. That's for episode 13, is the cost of not acting on what you know, because there is a cost. And if that applies to you, join me Tuesday, that's April the 28th, at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. At this point, it's not just about knowing. It's about what your inaction continues to create. And if you've been sitting in something you already decided on, don't carry this into another week the same way. The link is in the comments. So go ahead and schedule your session, and let's move out of that space. It's time to execute. So I want you to put in the comments, execute. Because it's time to move from that space. So thank you for joining me. And have an amazing night. God bless.
Jafar Fox, let's talk business. And let's turn it up a notch. It's your time to shine with Jafar Fox. It's all coming together. Just keep your eyes on God and tune in. And let's talk with Jafar